Day number 4, we back.
Back again, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Season
sir.
5 in the building, dog.
Let's get it.
You know, I'm a little crippled right now.
Yo, a little crippled.
Little backstories, but we'll get into all that later. I just wanted to, I hope everybody out there is doing well. Hope everyone stayed rolling free. I hope, you know, Trump tax cuts and unemployment people and stimmy check people. I hope y'all all doing well. I really shout out. We got spray in the room. Trust me,
It smells terrible.
Smells terrible, but now we got fragrance coming in. Don't even worry about it. But yeah, that little 4. We're here. Hope everyone's good. Shout out to the YouTube viewership, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music listenership. It's still expanding, and we're actually on Google Play. But yeah, whoever listens to it, for the weird niggas out there.
Google Play, that's fresh.
Shout out to Joe Buddy for giving me this, but the first time listeners, last time listeners, new listeners. And yeah, we're gonna get it rolling with season 5. We got familiar faces in the building. I'm gonna go to my right, the number 1 amigo, Low Bro.
It's your boy Flacco in the building. You know I had to do it to him real quick.
Yeah.
Came back with the red hair and shit.
Okay, talk about it. Yeah, make sure we can't forget that. We good. Yeah.
We coming on a different wavelength, man.
Okay. Okay.
Coming on a different wavelength.
Okay,
But yeah,
yeah.
bro, good to be back. You know, season 5, get it popping. It's exciting stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, a lot to unpack. A lot has happened. Last time we was with y'all, it was back in like I think June. It was right as the George Floyd pandemic.
Nah, it was before June.
Was it
You took a whole 2 months off.
Yeah, y'all did. I was checking the page all the time.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah. Last time it was May.
For real?
Yeah.
George Floyd was in May?
It was in May, yeah, it was May 24th.
My goodness, bro. A lot has happened since.
Yeah.
The protests happened.
Wait, I don't think George Floyd was May, but
Yeah, it had to have been because that was the last episode.
I think it was May 24th or 20th.
Oh, yeah.
Last episode was last night.
I was
Yeah.
writing something on here. I had to like research.
Yeah, it's
yeah, definitely May. Yeah.
It's crazy. A lot has happened since. And then we got an avid listener, somebody that we really appreciate. Always brings intellect, making a reappearance. You probably heard him on season 3. Our good friend to the neighborhood. Shout out.
And I should add, you know, the biggest fan of the podcast.
Jay Monet has something to say about that.
Sure.
Jay Monet.
I don't care what Jay Monet has to say. I'm the biggest fan.
Okay.
Your boy Giddeons is in here.
Yeah,
you know.
what's going on, man?
I'm
Gidds in
always
the
listening to
building.
this podcast, and if you're not listening to this podcast, I don't know what you're doing.
Hey, talk to him, dog. Talk to him. That's the
Just
only
let the
way.
people know.
That's the only way. We really appreciate it. Backstory, Gidds and I, obviously, for those who don't know, went to college together. So, good dude. Really appreciate his intellect. We have conversations, arguments about Beyonce all the time.
Passionate ones.
Passionate arguments. But it's all in love and it's in good jest. And, you know, really decided he'd be the perfect person to bring on for this episode in regards to the one and only, my GOAT, still the GOAT, Kanye West.
That's right.
So for the people who don't like Kanye West, turn it off right now. If you're trying to get educated, keep playing this shit. But there's gonna be a lot of controversial opinions here, and we're gonna go ahead and dive right into it. Kids,
Yes, sir.
recently, Kanye West had, stupidly, Kanye West had a rally out in, I believe, in South Carolina, in regards to his new, was it?
Charleston.
Yeah, one of the crowd.
Okay, one of the Carolinas. I don't know how many Carolinas they are. But yeah, in regards to his presidency or wanted his mission to become president of the United States, his new campaign. He's not on the ballot, but you know, it's Yeezy 2020. I don't know what Kanye is thinking, especially in a year where Trump and Biden are candidates. But you know, it's 2020, and that's what 2020 is bringing. Just a lot of strangeness going on in the world. So he held the rally, obviously against COVID procedures, not social distancing. And in that rally, a lot of sound bites, a lot of interesting things were said. Admittedly so, I did not watch the whole thing. So I'm trying to get as educated as possible. I know my man Giddeons probably viewed a lot of it,
All over it, bro.
did a whole essay on it. So very, very much a lot to say. And I think, you know, to kind of start out, what I wanted to discuss is, let's start with the timeline. So Kanye released a song with Travis, Wash Us in the Blood. That song, for me, didn't do anything for me. It's supposed to be his debut song on his record. Just want to get Gideon's take on, you know, what that song was about, what you felt it was about, and the messages, and what you kind of see Kanye was trying to do with that.
So like, so he works on the video with this black intellectual, but he's an artist, author Jafa.
Okay.
You know, I would say people should check him out, look at some of the work that he does. He's really about kind of like the white gaze and like surveillance on black people. So like, the thing is, sometimes as black folks, when we're in certain spaces and white people are watching us, we tend to do things differently.
For sure.
Yeah, either change your voice, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, when you talk,
Every talk.
coding.
Yeah.
Code
So
switch.
yeah, so like Kanye's Wash Us in the Blood is kind of like a readdressing of like black culture, but not blaming black people ourselves, but kind of like readdressing it and kind of pointing at the poison in it, and pointing at kind of like, you know, the goodness in it and where it can go. And Jafa does like this thing about black imaging where you can go on YouTube and watch like some of his work, where he puts like a bunch of series of like black images together and makes you wonder what it is that you're looking at and why you're seeing it. So coupled with that, and there's some effigies too in it where Kanye West, like, you know, like there's a 3D image of Kanye West.
Correct.
And there's this thing about, because he's done it before. He did it for
Was it Black Skinheads?
Black Skinhead. He did it for that, where there's this like distortion of
Correct.
this image. And this time, like, he does a distortion, but it's a lot clearer. So it's kind of like, you know, it's this struggle between like trying to say something and getting it wrong, but not meaning it that way. And how he's kind of like moving closer to be able to, like, you know, kind of self-actualize, but being okay with not saying it the right way all the time. So like if you see the image in between this and Jesus, this one is like a little bit much more clearer. Like things are falling apart on his face, but it's a little bit more clearer. Where it's like he's realizing, like, you know, this radical freedom and like being able to say what you want, and the people that understand will understand it. But people that don't understand won't understand it.
Correct.
And author Jafa is also like putting all these images together. I don't know if anyone wondered this, but when you're watching the video, the sense that you get is like, why am I seeing this? Like, what does this mean? It doesn't make any sense. But if you look at it, it's like this idea of like kind of taking black people away from being monolithic figures, where it's like black people are one people, but within black people are
Various different people.
various different things. It's not a And for
that's very important, especially right now.
And for a long time, what white supremacy has done is like make black people be looked at as one dimension. That's why if you're in a white space, you act a certain way. If I'm in a white space, I act a certain way.
Correct.
And author Jeffer's images is kind of like, no, these people are actually individuals. And the thing is, like, everyone is different.
Correct.
And he shows that through like the series of images that he does, where he shows Obama, but then he shows someone like twerking, and you know, through all these images to let you like kind of like recognize, like, you know, the kind of multiplicity of black people and not just like being like a monolith. So that's what I got. And I guess there's still a lot to be investigated, because like there's so much to be packed in that.
Correct.
That I need to do some research about. But I think that song, and Kanye has done this with some of like the songs that, you know, he even had on Yeezus and like some of the recent albums, where he's taken the idea of hip hop and like being, because the whole idea of hip hop, the culture is like being an individual and doing what you want, you know, like not being controlled, like a new
independent.
Yeah. So what he's doing with it is like he's kind of like getting away from the craft of really rhyming and like going to this place of hip hop where it's kind of like, I have something to say. I have like, you know, this expression that I want to like put out there, and this is how I want to do it. While like at the same time collaborate with someone that, you know, does this thing on black imaging to change kind of like, you know, the way black people look at it.
Fair.
So yeah, but there's still like a lot of stuff that, you know, needs to be researched to be understood more. Because I also saw like some people write up stuff on like, you know, review of like blogs, and even some of like music outlets and stuff like that. And what I realized is like most of them are still trying to figure other things out. So yeah. So in a nutshell, that's what I got. It's more of an exposition than it is like general music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hen, did you listen to it?
Yeah, I listened to it. It wasn't
Wasn't to your liking?
wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah, it wasn't my cup of tea.
So yeah, I think I gave it one quick listen and said, yeah, this wasn't it.
Yeah.
And turned it off.
Yeah.
Honestly, it caught my attention because Travis Scott was on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was like, yeah, this is not.
Yeah.
This
No.
is not.
No.
I'm not sure.
So for me, watching the video, because I did watch the video, I gave it one watch. And the thing about that video for me that like absolutely turned me off to it was I felt like it was poorly done.
Yeah.
Like I felt like the Kanye I know would have had like, there's a lot more to it. I mean, this is the guy that made the Heartless video, which is for me one of the best videos I've ever seen. The Love Lockdown video, one of the best videos I've ever seen. And then I'm seeing this now, I'm just like, all right, like it's cool, but it's not anything where it's like, I could tell this was done probably. And what's played Kanye for me for the past like 2 or 3 albums, it's something that was done without much thought. I don't want to say much thought, but not much time invested in it. And you know, my priorities are elsewhere. It's not strictly on the music anymore. That's my thing with Kanye, like, and my biggest bother with him is that, like, it's okay. I'm not saying that you have to be boxed into one, but what I'm saying is I'm from the school of giving maximum effort into everything that you do. And I feel like with music, he's been giving half-assed efforts. Now, that's not to say I didn't love Jesus is King, because I did, because there's a lot. I think Jesus is King, sans all the other shit in terms of Trump and all those things that surrounded it. I feel like if you really listen to Jesus is King, there's probably one song on there that isn't good, and that's On God. After that, everything else, from top to bottom, if you listen to that album, is actually a really good album, in my opinion. To kind of transition though, so Wash Us in the Blood came out, and then you have this, you know, Forbes magazine that covered him. They did an interview with Kanye, and that is when things took a turn publicly for Kanye, because he started, you know, the George Floyd thing. He was quiet. He just acted. He started a college fund for his daughter. Was marching with the people during the riots and the marches, and I was like, you know what, as a Kanye fan, we've been getting beat up on the timeline so much that this time it's like, y'all can't say shit to us. Like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all really can't say shit to us. Like, we're moving, like, not we're, but Kanye moving in the way that y'all didn't think he would move, because y'all think he's bundled up with Trump. And that relationship is actually very complicated on a lot of levels, that people, you know, if you're ignorant, you're just like, oh, he's just trumping and all these things. I don't agree with him, you know, parading Trump and being in the office saying, look at this guy, I love him. But that relationship's a lot more complicated, and there's a lot of quid pro quo, or whatever.
Quid pro quo.
Yeah, in that relationship. So that's a conversation for a different day, but just regarding that timeline, the Forbes magazine took a turn for the worse. There was a lot of conversation about being pro-life, which is very controversial, especially for a hip-hop artist to come out and say that. There's a lot of conversation about, there's a couple of other things I heard. Harriet Tubman was brought up. That was rather interesting. And we'll dive into all those things, but I just want, did you guys read over that Forbes magazine at all?
I thought it was
That interview?
I thought it was,
Yeah, so it was definitely a radical and bizarre interview. He mentioned that, you know, the reason why he's decided to run for presidency and he's serious about it is that Trump allegedly hid in the bunkers when things started to get bad. Yeah. And he was like, well, that's when I knew Yeezy had to step in. So just wanted to get, you know, in regards to that timeline, then you have, you know, the rally, the ultimate rally, where, you know, and this is where like things publicly got really bad, and it gets worse. But trust me, we'll get there. So I'll start with Endo. What did you think about the rally?
So
What you saw?
I saw the thing to Twitter, of course.
Twitter.
I just saw Kanye was trending. I'm like, I'll check what's going on here. You know, watching these videos, and okay, I see him speaking. First of all, he had a bulletproof vest on at a rally. I don't know for what reason.
In 2020.
In
cut
2020,
to his head.
cut to his head. So
At 43.
Right. So anyway, it's Kanye. It's Kanye at this point. Like, I honestly shouldn't be surprised. But yeah, so that happened, and then I saw the little clips. I didn't see like the whole rally because it was just clips. But I did see the Harriet Tubman part where he said Harriet Tubman didn't actually free the slaves. She just made them go work for other white people or whatever.
Okay.
And the girl that was recording was like, all right, really?
Really?
It's just like, all right, really? But yeah, I was just honestly confused. Like, and this is the thing I have with Kanye. Like, to understand Kanye, like, you have to really like try to understand like what he's trying to say. Like, and I'm not talking like he's not speaking clearly, but it's just like
what he says and what he
says and what he means.
different.
Right? It could mean anything. Like, it's just crazy. So I'm like listening, and I'm like, first I was like, okay, this nigga's on some shit. Like, he's off his rockers, bro. I don't know what he's trying to say. Because for Kanye, he's like, you gotta explain. You really have to really tap in.
Wait, stop right there. Did he lie?
Did he lie about Harriet Tubman?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Now, if you think about it deeper, it's like, wait, no, he's probably not lying about this. But at face value, you hear it, it's like, nigga, what? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And that's like, he tends to do that a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's just, it's frustrating at some point because, as a fan of, like, you know what I mean, like. As a fan, it's like, bro, like, why do you keep doing this? Like, why do you keep
making my life hard.
Right, you making my life hard. Exactly. Like, why do you keep doing this to me, bro? But then you kind of sit back, you gotta listen, and then, you know, and I'm not to say, like, it's always like that. Like, there are some things where he'll say, and it makes, there's some things he'll say, it makes 100%, you know, makes sense, and there's some things he'll say, which is just like, dude, that's complete bullshit.
Yeah,
but, yeah, it's like, you know, absurd. But I think, but also, like, that's what I love about Kanye though, is that he can do that and still be Kanye. Like, like, at the end of the day, no one's gonna say like, okay, Kanye wasn't or isn't one of the best or greatest rappers like of our time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's going through whatever he's going through. Yeah, we know he has, you know, some, whatever, bipolar disorder and whatnot. But one thing you're not gonna take away from Kanye is like,
music, he do that.
Musically, he does it creatively. Like, that's him.
Yeah.
He got that.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating to hear him talk sometimes.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'll go and then I'll let Gid go. When I saw the rally, one thing that definitely stood out to me is I thought what he said, because when I first heard, and I hit the group chat about that, when I first heard, I was like, what is he talking about with that Harriet Tubman comment? Even if it is true, the thing that I don't agree with him saying that is, regardless if when you say it, regardless if it's true or false, and where you're coming from may not be that, but the consequence of saying that is white people discrediting what Harriet Tubman did, one of the greatest African Americans to ever grace this earth in terms of her work. So you're discrediting a black woman's work. I'm instantly always against that. So for me, although when Kanye speaks, I try to look for some truths and intricacies of what he's trying to say, because I know he doesn't articulate himself well, and he means well, at least in my opinion. I knew right there, I was like, nah, you can't be saying that. You can't be saying that out loud. You can't be saying that during this climate, during the height of what is social injustice, and we're saying Black Lives Matter, and then you're discrediting somebody's work. You can't do that, Kanye. I'm sorry, I can't agree with you.
And my thing is like, you can, even if, I'd rather him not say it.
You can. The thing too is that that relationship in itself is complex in terms of like what the media does with sound bites and the power that the media has. It's like, Kanye could have said, if you watch that entire thing over, there are some people that are like, it actually wasn't a bad speech, it actually wasn't a bad rally, that aren't even Kanye West fans. But what makes the news is the sound bites. And as Kanye West, you gotta understand that that's gonna happen and they're gonna try to use you as a prop. I think where Kanye West is he's defiant and he's like, I don't give a fuck what y'all try to do to me. This is like, I'm gonna say what I need to say.
Yeah.
And I respect that in an artist,
Of course.
even when I disagree. Because what I don't like is politically, like I'm trying to be politically correct
Right.
artists that won't say something like that.
Right. But I just feel like
there's a time and a place
for it.
Yeah, and the other thing that really caught my eye, also in the soundbite, is when he was crying in regards to wanting to abort his daughter and his father wanting to abort him, and I realized that one, it takes a whole lot of fucking courage to get up on stage and say something like that, because that is not something that's talked about in the black community, where it's like, a lot of kids might be mistakes, and a lot of parents might not have wanted you, but you're here because another parent said, I want this fucking kid. And so I think that's definitely something that was interesting. And he brought up something else that was interesting in regards to, and this is back to the Forbes interview, in regards to birth control, and him saying, and there's been arguments about that it's white people's way of trying to control the black population. Now I'm not in agreement with that, but it was interesting to hear that because I never looked at it that way. And later on we'll get into this in terms of the timeline, his problems with his wife. But he brought up that Kim was the one who decided, no, we're having Nori. So I thought that was interesting. Overall, I thought it was ill-advised to have a rally, especially during COVID still. A lot of people think that shit's over, it's not. So I thought it was ill-advised, and I thought, definitely could have been done better, but as with Kanye now, it's like everything's done in a rush and not well thought out.
Yeah, that's I feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know how serious he is about this whole running for president thing.
I don't think he's serious.
I don't think he's serious, but you know what I mean? Like, but like that's not something. That's not something. I feel like it's just not something that should just be taken lightly. You know what I mean? Like, if you're someone that's gonna announce like they're running for president, like please be serious about that shit, because especially now when we have Mr. Trump in office, like,
Mr. Trump,
that's not my president. But like, you know what I mean? Like we black people, the black community, like we're already, we have our opinions about
easily influenced
what's going on, and we're very easily influenced. So it's like to hear Kanye say, "Yeah, I'm running for president," because he's done this before. Like he's
brought it up. He
said this like years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And not just him, like a lot of people have said like, "Oh yeah, I'm running for president in this year," but it's like, okay, but are you gonna be serious about it? Like, you know what I mean? So that's my only thing, with this whole parade.
Yeah, man. So maybe I'll tackle the whole thing about running for president.
Yeah.
Do I think he's serious? Not really, but I think what he does bring, and what he is doing is he's putting pressure on historically black people have voted for the Democratic Party, right? But for me, doing some historical work, I see that our vote is not taken as serious as they come around when they want us to vote. And I feel like him doing this puts this significant and necessary pressure. Kind of like, our vote has to mean something. And I don't know if anyone noticed, like Charlemagne kind of did this whole thing about Joe Biden. Yeah, so like, people are starting to
First about the interview with Joe Biden.
Yeah, but like he brought up something Joe Biden did in the past or something like that.
Okay,
Like got people riled up. And things like people are noticing, like, you know what I mean? When it's around election time, it's like there's
That's
this,
like
like
pull up.
you pull up and there's like, like kind of they trying to mobilize black people to go vote and all this stuff, but then it's like they get in office and it's kind of like
Forgotten about.
and you're doing all this stuff for lobbyists.
Historically,
and-
that always happens.
You know what I mean? All the time. So I feel like, while Kanye might not be entirely serious, what I like and what I keep pushing, I don't know if you see my Instagram stories.
Yeah, we watch it.
What I keep pushing is like kind of like I keep pushing like what if he's serious? What if he's really gonna run for this? You know, just what does that mean? Like, do you start to see at least Joe Biden a little differently and how like not Joe Biden but how like historically black people voted for Democrats and how we handled when it comes to things like being done to protect the black community or things being done to give us the same avenues that everybody else has. So to me, he might not be serious, but I definitely think that pressure is necessary.
Yeah.
And also by him doing that, I don't know if you saw the video I posted of Obama.
Yeah, I did.
Where he's joking, but he's speaking amicably about Kanye West running for president. It looks like a joke, but another way you look at it is like he's signaling. You know what I mean? That if he is serious about running this,
Like, why couldn't
he go for it? You know what I'm trying to say? So it's kind of like now it puts significant pressure on like this party that historically black people vote for and get little to nothing out of it.
Yeah.
So like now Kanye doing this, and that's the thing I like about Kanye, about breaking the mold. You know what I'm trying to say? It's almost kind of like, oh, sit down, Kanye, don't do. And it's kind of like, no, like things are not going the right way. So what if we get people to think about the possible things that can happen? You know what I'm saying? And that's what I love about Kanye. Him just coming in, breaking the mold, not listening to anybody. And through the course of this, it inspires other people. Because I tell you, like, the more he does this, right, the more qualified, or at least like in the eyes of white supremacy, a black candidate that's actually, been in politics, been in certain offices, the more legitimate they look when they run. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, Trump made it like look like some crazy shit. And allows less qualified white people to get in.
Yeah,
But Kanye doing this too allows more qualified black people to get in. Because he's doing all this crazy shit. It's kind of like sometimes you have to wonder the possibility of actually being president. And when you wonder that and you think it can be possible because he has influence, then when a qualified black candidate rolls in, you know what I mean? It kind of lessens this microscope that try to disqualify. Because if Kanye thinks he can run for president and he has the influence,
Why can't someone else?
Why can't someone else? That's black. You know what I'm trying to say?
I think that's the same thing that happened even with Trump, because no one, you know what I mean? Donald Trump being from like his business background, never had a background in politics. No one ever thought like, oh, dude, there's no way Donald Trump.
And people said that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh. When I heard it, I was like, okay, like, all right, cool. There's no way Donald Trump is gonna win. And then, as time goes on, you're like, wait a minute, like, this nigga's actually he's like win, bro. Like, he might do something. So maybe Kanye is not the one.
Yeah.
To do it, but I see what you're saying.
But he has to break the mold. He has to break the mold. He has to put the pressure. He has to disrupt things and make people feel like. Other things, black people that qualify that didn't feel like, feel like, oh shit, I can get it. You know what I mean?
But my thing is this: there's an argument though that says Kanye doing this is simply to be divisive and split the vote between himself and Biden, and therefore help Donald Trump. And to that, you say what?
So here's the thing, like Kanye's not even on balance. The balance that he's not on road, in states and stuff like that. And as a matter of fact, like I think when I was on my way here, because people like every time Kanye does something, I don't know, people just like my phone just goes crazy, bro. Like I get like 24 messages, like in a second. So on my way here, someone saying like, oh, he wrote like he beat Biden in the writing. And like, because one of my friends I've been having a conversation with.
See that,
Yeah, and he goes, dude, I think you're right. He's just saying you beat Biden in the writing. It's as if like, he's saying like, if I did it. And I'm like, yeah, the point here is pressure. You You know what I'm trying to say? He's not on the ballot to actually get people to vote for him. You know what I'm trying to say? And there are places he's not even enrolled, you can't vote for him.
Yeah.
So it's really all about the necessary pressure. And the pressure, like, yo, when you get in office, do something. Don't ignore us. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, when it's like election time, y'all going crazy, going like all these black shows. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like you get in office and it's like, we don't matter anymore.
Yeah, correct.
And it's all about that pressure. Like, to me, that's what Kanye does, breaking the mold. All about that pressure, making you think, like, yo, you think you can do this forever? Maybe you can't. Maybe you can't come around and just be like, oh, it's election time. Let's just get rid of this shit.
Yeah.
Get black people going and stuff. So, to me, Kanye doing this for Trump to win, dude, like you saw the Forbes interview about like the comments. It's not that. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like this added pressure from seeing him not enroll in the states and seeing him not like, you know, really taking this seriously and just like, you know, ranting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And not really being organized. Maybe another way to look at it is like this could be like kind of like a preview to him running, actually doing something organized in 2024. But for now, what is like present and what is there is the fucking pressure. Like, bro, you can't do this to us. You gotta take us seriously.
That's an interesting point. I for me, I never looked at it like that, to be honest. But yeah, wow. I think, you know, in respect to that timeline, then we have the ultimate, the one of the most special nights is always the Kanye Twitter rants.
I love those.
He gave us the infamous Wiz Khalifa "Own Your Kid" line. Gave us a couple more. What was it? There was a skinny jeans line.
Oh yeah.
That he had, and he was like, "I wish I could wear skinny jeans." Cuddy look cool in skinny jeans. You don't like to Wiz and shit. Like he was just. But anyway, it was I believe I want to say Wednesday, or maybe even it was Monday, last month. Was it this Monday? Maybe, whatever. Twitter rants happened. And there was a lot that he unpacked in those Twitter rants. People described it as him having an episode. Some describe it as, don't disregard that shit is crazy, because that shit might just be real. And in those rants, a lot of interesting things came up where he talks about, you know, his wife, his faith, issues with Kris Jenner, his mother-in-law, and also a potential infidelity that happened, and we don't have any like knowledge on that. Just wanted to get everyone's take on this, one of the last things on Kanye and where we are today. Is this all part of a rollout, or is what he's saying an episode for him, and does he need proper care?
I don't think it's part of any type of rollout. I think it was just Kanye being Kanye at that moment. Like, you know, he's done this before. You know, he's gone on Twitter rants. We know that.
Don is still not out.
Exactly.
Getting tired of you, Ye.
There's a lot of, you know,
Kanye, if you're listening to this,
there's a lot of music that,
nigga.
there's a lot of music that isn't out from Kanye, and we didn't like. I don't know. It just seems like this is, you know, the same cycle that's going on. Like, he'll announce, oh yeah, I'm dropping this, and then, you know, it doesn't drop, and then he'll go on a crazy rant. I just think it was Kanye being Kanye. And
You don't think it was that episode?
I mean, yes, like
Bipolar?
it was definitely an episode.
Okay.
Like it was. There's no. To me, like there's no doubt. Like it wasn't an episode. You know, because the things that he was saying, like he was saying some pretty crazy stuff.
He said, have you ever seen, everybody know the Get Out movie is
Get
about
out,
me?
right? Like nobody just says that. Like that's.
I think the frightening part is that we don't know.
Right.
And what they say is Hollywood and that area is
Oh yeah.
different. It's a
But
different world.
he also did say, oh, what was it? Kim trying to lock me up with a
They
doctor
try
or
to
something
50,
in Wyoming.
5150 me.
Right, like.
What does that even mean? I don't know. I don't know what that term means. That might be a movie. I don't know.
No.
He makes movie movie reference.
Right. So it's like, I don't know. It just seemed like, yeah, it was just one of those days or one of those, moments where he was, I don't know, something happened. You just having one of his episodes. And I think, what's his name? Like Dave Chappelle flew out to Wyoming.
Yeah, he did have a lot of people.
Hopped on the PJ real
Yeah.
quick. To go check on him, and even Kanye was like, yeah, man, thank you for coming to check on me, like that. I think he was like definitely going through something.
I think.
And I think, and
No, my fault. Go ahead.
And I'm pretty sure Kim came out and said that, thank you for
He's
like
going
all the
through
support
it.
he's going.
Yeah.
As you all know, Kanye is bipolar, so he's going through one of his episodes, and
The sick, twisted part of me says that there are certain things that he said there that were true.
oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
That's right. And
I wouldn't doubt it.
the part I think is true is, I think Kim did try to fly out there. I think Chris tried to fly out there. I think Chris caught wind of everything that was going on. It was like, get that nigga away from the phone right now. I think maybe, just imagine that Kanye wasn't crazy as they're letting it
That's
on
what
to
I'm
believe,
saying,
right? And then they brought a doctor out there and they're like, we're locking you up for manic, bipolar episodes, whatever, right? But, just imagine that, right? That is the case. And that, what he's going through is, he discussed some infidelities with Meek Mill and his wife, meeting for prison reform, and all those different things that weigh on a man. Do you say then, I guess, are you empathetic towards that? Or is it more so, again, because I did witness a lot of people just be like, bro, this is nothing but a rollout, don't believe nothing that he's saying and nothing like that. It's like kind of like the boy who cried wolf situation.
Yeah.
It's like, man, this is all bullshit, don't worry about him, right? I guess my question is, do you think that there was any truths in there?
Oh yeah, I'm not discrediting anything that he said, that in that period of time. I think, the thing is, like, sometimes things will sound so crazy, it's like, it can't be true, but it is true.
Yeah.
It was like one of those moments, like, okay, he's talking about Kim and Meek Mill, like, everyone's like, what? Like, nah, that would never happen. We don't know. We don't know.
And that's what I try to tell
We don't
people.
know. And the thing is, like, in his mind,
The Playboy thing,
Right.
Kris Jenner trying to shoot Playboy kid magazines with my daughters, that'll never happen.
yeah, bro, like this.
I don't think that's
I don't
crazy.
think that's crazy either. So it's like, I'm not like, that's one thing, I'll never discredit anything that Kanye says, because I don't know, I just feel like anything that he says, like, yeah, there's gonna be some BS, but there's always some truth in anything.
Laced in, yeah.
Anything. Like,
Yeah.
there's always some truth.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, with that being said, I think, I don't know, man. He was having one of his episodes. He had to go off, because and that's one thing that people don't understand is like, there's probably a million things circulating around in his head, and it's like, dude, like, I gotta get, like, I can't bottle this in all the time. I gotta get this shit off, and that's probably how that happened. Like, he said, yo, I gotta get this stuff off. Like, there's no way. And then what does he do? He just goes to Twitter, the one place where you can just let shit fly. Like, I don't know. I think it was one of those moments.
Do you think, and Giddeons, I'm gonna get to you, and this is a question for both of y'all. Do you think that it's, I won't say the white man's agenda, but do you think that it's white people's agenda to destroy and discredit Kanye?
I'll let you answer first.
So, white supremacy was, kind of will use any tool possible to destroy, the black community, and that's white supremacist and white supremacist ideology, which is like, which kind of just lives in the casual American mind, even in certain black folks that are like, kind of like indoctrinated by the idea of white supremacy to even self-hate, right? So
Yeah.
as far as that, No doubt, no doubt. It's not even something that I think, you know, is by the stretch of imagination and someone can say, no. It's something that's always like happening. But I just wanted to go back to like what we were talking about earlier about, you know, episodes and stuff. Frankly, like, so I was writing this thing about Kanye when he dropped the Jesus King album. So when I was writing that, what I did is like, because every time I write, especially specifically with Kanye, there's some other artists that I do a little bit, you know, similar to this. I usually go back to his previous albums and I just listen to it. Like after I'm done listening to the new album, I go back and just listen to it, you know, to come catch.
Yeah, for sure.
Catch back up with like the new album. And I saw certain things that were like dynamically similar across the timeline of the albums. And one of the things is that Kanye has always been outspoken.
Yeah, I mean,
like incredibly so. I think there's this like, you know, kind of microscope on him where when he says certain things, it can be attributed to him, you know, his bipolar disorder.
Yeah, correct.
But when you look back, he says some crazy shit that no one attributed to his bipolar disorder.
Correct.
Like, and when you look at it, you pay attention to it, it's something he wanted to say, and he said it. And another thing that I found out throughout, you know, kind of listening throughout all the albums to like now is one of the themes that Kanye pushes is this radical freedomness, like freedom for freedom's sake.
Correct.
Like, don't be controlled by a structure, by the way, you know, people want you to talk, how people want you to deliver a message, how people want you to behave. If you feel you have to say something and it's not gonna harm anyone, say it. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, if it's the truth shall set you free. That's a big Kanye theme that I think people ignore.
I'll say this though, in regards to that, there are a lot of blacks that feel like when he speaks now, it does hurt black people.
Okay. Yeah.
There are blacks that feel that way. To that you say?
Yeah, to that I say black people are not a monolith and people need to get away from that. Because like, this is what people have to understand. When a white person does something and it's completely awful, there are ways the media manipulates it, there are ways that, you know, regular white folks manipulate it to make it that this is an individual acting on his own. But when a black person that's like, you know, a dominant figure in the black community says something, it's supposed to represent all black people. And it goes back to this idea through white supremacy where black people cannot be three-dimensional, like we're monolith. And what you do, I do because we're animals. And we all think the same way and we, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bro, there are things you like that I hate.
Yeah.
There are things I might like that you might hate.
Correct.
And the thing is, every time that a prominent figure, like the things Donald Trump says, it's not attributed to white people, and I don't get that. So sometimes I'm like, are people serious? Like,
Yeah.
Kanye has to be looked at as an individual, not looking at Kanye as an individual. It's a tool and it's a mindset out of white supremacy. And people need to get away from that. Like you can't let one person say something and just because he's a dominant figure in our community represent all of us. No.
But you don't get this kind of in-depth take
But bro,
on any other podcast you hear.
bro, but if he says something positive,
Yeah.
we will take it. Because guess what? That's how every race, like the Chinese do this. White folks do this. Jewish people do this. The moment someone says something negative or does something negative, they are an individual. The moment they do something right, something positive, they're a product of the
It's
community.
for the hood, yeah.
And the thing is, as black folks, we need to get away from that because that's one of the things Kanye talks about control. And structures and boxes.
Right.
And the thing Kanye does with this, with some of these rants, he goes out and he acts crazy, is he wants you to know that, yo, I'm free. I'm free, I'll do what I want. And the thing is like, you cannot attribute this to anybody but me. Because I'm Kanye and I'm doing what I want and I want to be free.
Yeah.
And I'm not harming you, the stuff that I'm doing to you. So why does it bother you so much?
And I think to kind of speak on that point, it just brought me back to a Forbes interview. I believe it was a GQ interview that he did, and a couple months back, and they pretty much were, the question was worded in a way where it's like they tried to box you in like, you know, you're the voice of the black community, and to that he said, I'm a billionaire. I'm an owner of a billionaire company, of $1 billion company, and you know that's who I am. as in the individual. So I don't speak for all black people. I speak for myself. And I think to that point, it definitely comes across like that in his messaging.
Yeah, and I'll add that, this whole thing with him being bipolar. There's a part of me that doesn't want to believe it, but it's harmful not to believe it, right? It's harmful not to believe it.
Absolutely.
It's an interest of someone that I have a lot of love for Kanye West, and I think he's a very selfless human being. And it would be more harmful for me to think he doesn't have it than to think he does have it. But even if he does have it, I think it's not to a significant level that people think he does have it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can quote you a lot of things that Kanye says throughout his albums, throughout the years, that emphasizes and paints this. Like on Otis, on Watch the Throne, he says this line, "Niggas think I'm crazy, well I'm about to go dumb again."
Yeah.
That's someone that's like utterly aware of the situation and what he's doing.
Correct.
On Ye, like he says something about like people think he's crazy. Like he imagines what they would think if they caught him on a wild day.
Yeah.
Like this is someone that, and I could go on and on and on because I was brainstorming. I have a bunch of lines like that he said like that I'm writing an essay about. This is someone that's radically aware of what he's doing. This is not someone that's not aware that he's doing this thing that people think is crazy. As a matter of fact, like when he did the rally, he said this word for word. They're gonna play this on TV, they're gonna show me this, and they're gonna tell you I'm crazy. Bro, that's someone that's aware.
Yeah.
If he's having an episode, he doesn't get to be in a mental space where he can speak, in like kind of like
Freely.
Yeah, freely and in tenses where it's kind of like it's like kind of like present, future, perfect, like a present, future, perfect tense where it's kind of like I see what's happening now, I'm aware of it, and after this is what you're gonna say. That's not someone that's crazy. He's aware.
Yeah.
So the thing is like, what I think is to be noticed here is that the things Kanye are doing, right? It's not for. I wouldn't say the weak-hearted, but it's not for, and I'm writing something about this and I'm calling like the casual American mind. It's not for the casual American mind. Like Kanye is telling you like, yo, if you want to listen, listen. If you don't want to listen, don't listen. But what you can do is tell me what to do and how to say it. You know what I'm trying to say? Because if you listen to me, you will hear what is there. Because what I'm saying is actually there. But if you want me to spoon feed it to you, I'm not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, it's about time that people start talking from a place of objectivity than a place of like emotion. Because I feel like every time Kanye says something, people listen with their nerves. People come from a place of like, emotion. Oh shit, oh. And it's like, well, listen to what he's saying. You know what I'm trying to say? And the whole point of communication is to understand a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
For instance, sometimes you might say something, or I might say something, and you'd be like, wait, do you mean this?
Mm-hmm.
And once you understand it, it's not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So why can't people go, wait, what is he trying to say? And once they understand it, go, oh, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Why do people have to have a knee jerk?
Well, I think again, like you said, I think to answer your question, what's difficult for people is to remove the emotion out of something. We're emotional. Not, and when I say we are, I don't mean black people. I mean, as humans, we're emotional people.
Human beings,
As human beings. Black people including white people. We're emotional beings, and we can hear something where it's like just emotions get involved, and that takes logic right out of it. So yeah, for me, I think time will tell.
Sorry for being so passionate, man.
Nah.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. We appreciate that, man. I think time will definitely tell with Kanye in terms of everything that's going on right now. I guess my last question here for you guys as we wrap up today. Kanye's not on the ballot. Who do you see winning the election? And why?
I'll be honest with you, I haven't kept up with like the presidential race as much as I would like to.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was to just answer that question right now and guess, I think Trump gets reelected.
Yeah, it's kind of scary, but I think Endo was right. I think the way Joe Biden wins this election is if people turn out, and I think with the way things are going, I think there's some people. I don't think like what I know just from my I guess my space of friends and family and stuff like that. The people that it's happening again where they don't even want to vote or might vote, and I guess like people feel like they have to pick the lesser of two evils, and the answer to that is like you're not going to pick any evil at all. And while this election is really important, I think what I think people have to remember is that there are checks and balances. Not that these things cannot be erased, but there are checks and balances in the American Constitution. And the House, the people that fight against certain things that could radically change how America is. So I think I'm saying that to say, but to get to the question, I feel like I have to sneak this in there because I think people live under certain fears when it comes to election time, and I don't know if this makes me like a Kanye person, but like I feel like it's important to be radically free in the choice that you make. And you have to make the choice that you believe in. And I think people subconsciously are coming to that point where they feel like, to be radically free and own the power of your vote, they're not gonna use. I think it's wrong. I think you should use it, but somehow like I'm not gonna vote.
But how can that?
And that can impact it by that could get Trump re-elected into office.
And I know that's the last question, but what you just said brought up a good point.
Yeah.
Should we, in a perfect world, in a utopia world, should there be parties?
Parties? Oh yeah. Trump talked about that. I mean, Kanye talked about it on the Forbes interview. He said he wanted to make like the American system like Wakanda like people
instantly, yeah,
but like, what do you mean? You should have seen the look at Hendo's face. Hendo was like, I was like, this nigga.
Won't be bringing up Wakanda?
It was like, this nigga.
Alright.
So like like in Wakanda they don't have like a two-party system.
Yeah.
They have like it's like a 5.
Yeah, correct.
Like tribe with like five party system or something like that.
Talking about Wakanda.
Yeah, we're really.
And what you wanted to try to point out is like kind of like democracy becomes a simulation when you have two parties, where like they could be on the same agenda but they're just playing good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
And that's what he meant. For the folks that didn't know, he wasn't crazy. When he talked about Wakanda. But yeah, that's what he was. He talked about. That's what he's trying to point with that. So the two-party system, like. I think the Green Party, I don't know if the Green Party has been trying to fight for this. It's a bunch of people classify as a bunch of hippies, but these are people that have looked at like the American political structure, and you feel like they need to be a third party. And then when you do that, democracy doesn't become a simulation. And I think the two-party system, whether it's a conspiracy theory or not, does grant room for a democratic simulation where they might be wanting to do something and they can act like, parties are fighting about not really.
We got our intern in the back. Shout out Yummy, man. Listen, he's a socialist. We have these conversations.
Oh, it's a socialist.
Yeah, we have these conversations all the time. But we continue to debate these things. I want to thank everybody for taking the time out listening to us today. Gidds, as always, stopping by in the building.
I know
what I'm saying. And we back again, season 5. We got a lot. Shout out Pop Smoke. Shout out that album. Shout out Pop Smoke. R.I.P.
We'll talk about that.
Shout out to all the music that's coming out. Gunna, Baby, all y'all that dropped. Been keeping the summer alive for us as much as we possibly can. That's all we got for today. And as always, folks, you can catch us on, all the streaming services. You can catch us on the YouTube. Be on the lookout for that. Outside of that, though, definitely.
I don't know about this Wednesday.
What's this Wednesday? Oh, yeah, bro. My Achilles tendon. Yeah, bro. I gotta get that repaired, dog. This shit was crazy. Tore my shit. No cap. Pray for me. But yeah, much love to y'all. We'll get that episode up and running. We got some new interns in the building. As the season goes on, you'll hear and see from them. Besides that, though, as always,
Oh yeah.
As always.
So you're doing this.
Come
Tap
on,
in.
stay tapped in.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Use it.
We out.